Hi, welcome to the lecture number 10 of the Business Process Mining course. This session will focus on predictive process monitoring, one of the most exciting topics in business process mining. This lecture is composed of two videos. In the first one, we will give a general overview of the general approach of predictive process monitoring. In the second video, we will go deeper and explain the pipeline for training our predictive models. Until this point of the course, we have checked different techniques that help us to evaluate the process, to evaluate possible scenarios, to discover business processes. Well, the focus of predictive monitoring is different. The focus is the future. So it's trying to take historical information to predict how is going to finish our case or what is going to take place in our case. Predictive process monitoring is more focused in support operational decisions in this way. Well, let's say we have a running case and we have an oracle. This oracle is a machine learning algorithm or a deep learning algorithm that is able to answer the questions that we want. For example, what is the next activity? When is going to take place this activity? How is going to continue this case until the very end? How much time is going to take place until this case to finish? Or what will be the outcome of the process? In general terms, the pipeline starts with extract an event log from an enterprise system, and then we train a predictive model. Then we can take cases that are being in execution in an event stream and giving this information to our predictive model. With this information, we are able to create predictive dashboards, detailed, that are giving information of each one of the cases, when it's going to finish, how it's going to finish, or in an aggregate way, we can predict, okay, maybe the 25% of your cases is going to fail. As well, we can create alarm-based prescriptive dashboards, and these dashboards can just say you, okay, in 2 days, maybe the 30% of your cases is going to fail, so do something, maybe assign more resources, or maybe just be prepared for what is coming. If you think on this, of course, the managers that are supporting these kind of decisions always and all the time are taking decisions based on their intuition. But in this case, with predictive process monitoring, we are giving them like a super intuition, like more adequate for the level of complexity of the companies and enterprises, right? So this is why it's much more exciting, these kind of approaches. Instead of your guessing or yes or no, we are giving and we are taking informed decisions. In predictive process monitoring, we have two kind of predictors, let's say. The first one is the ones that we are usually using with machine learning algorithms like decision trees, or maybe CatBoost or XGBoost, like simple machine learning algorithms that are able to predict maybe just one feature. For example, the outcome of the case, right? They can predict if the case is going to finish, okay, or maybe it's going to fail, or maybe they can predict how much time is going to take place until the end time of the case, right? It's just one attribute. Basically, we start with the event log. We create a feature matrix. This feature matrix is composed of all the information of the case translated in numbers, because to our predictive models, that's the kind of information they like. Or on the contrary, we can have a different, more complex predictors. They are deep learning algorithms, and we will call them structured predictors. These predictors are basically structured because they are able to predict more complex objects composed or described by attributes. So they are able not only to predict what's the next activity, they are able to predict what is the next activity, who is going to execute this activity, how much time is going to take place, or so on and so on. Even all the data attributes of the execution of this event, they are even able to predict them. Of course, they are much more complex in structure, and they take more time to train, but they are able to predict the whole sequence of activities. For example, how? Well, you have to predict the next event and then feed back this information to the predictor, and then he can predict the next and the next and the next and so on, and then you can predict the whole sequence of activities, right? As well, we start with an event log. We encode this event log, but this encoding is a little bit more complex because the structure predictors, of course, are more complex in structure. We encode this information and we can train our predictors. Regarding to the workflow, we have two kind of pipelines. One is offline, is basically focus on train and obtain a classifier. We start with an event log, and then we have as a product a classifier. The first step is extract and filter prefixes. These prefixes are basically patterns of executions of the case. Then we can take this prefix log and divide into different subsets, and then we can take each one of the sets and encode them. That's translate the events in numbers, because that's the format that our classifiers and regressors like the most. We can train our classifier, and basically we will have a set of classifiers that are able to predict the future of each one of the prefixes. In the online workflow, we have cases that are being in execution, they are incomplete, and the first step is determine in which bucket they belong, right? So we classify the cases that are being in execution. Once classified, we can encode them, classify, and predict the future of these cases. And that's the final product of this pipeline. In the next video, we will focus on explain the pipeline of training a classifier. So see you in the next video.